Hello. Hi, Renee. Hi, Terry. Hi, Nancy. Looks like Nancy and Renee, your audio is still connecting. Oh. There's Janis. So far, I haven't heard anybody's audio. Hi, Terry. Good to see you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear somebody.
Janis, I hope.
Oh, good. It's Janis.
Hey, good deal. Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Nancy. Hi.
I think Nancy's on the phone.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll give folks a few more minutes. Now, Janis, I'm doing your audio, right? Or your slides, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you still see me? You probably do.
Mhm.
I'm already on my. Oh,
Yeah, once I bring up the presentation, what you said, you were concerned that people's faces might block.
Yeah.
I will, I'll tell you what to do.
Okay. I had a minute. Uh-oh, you went away. All right. Close that. No, don't do that. Cancel that. There you are. So if I pop up my.
So I'm going to pull this up so you can see it. If I can figure out where I put it.
I guess it's always a challenge, isn't it?
It can be, yes.
We did it so easily the other day, right?
I know.
Okay, here's my situation that I'm seeing. As soon as I put up my presentation, and then I think I'm going to get out and join this meeting.
You know what? Why don't we do this, Janis? Let's see if this will work.
As soon as I put my presentation
you the co.
Oh, go ahead.
I made you the co-host. Do you know how to share a presentation?
Yeah, I did, but
I think it was my fault that you couldn't. So try again.
No, I don't think that's my fault. I'm supposed to do something down here, but the problem is that I think I need to exit this one, put my PowerPoint up, and then get you.
Well, whatever's easiest for you.
Oh, walk me through them real quick.
Well, as long as your PowerPoint is in the background and you don't have a bunch of stuff up.
Oh no, I don't have any. Okay.
Yeah, when you go to look for the screen, it should be there when you do share screen.
Oh, okay, and then I can click on it there, is what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna hit share screen. Oh yeah, see, it's not at, okay. All right, I'm gonna exit out and get it straight.
Okay, yeah, whatever you need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like Denise might have had trouble getting on. I noticed lately people are having trouble with the Zoom codes, and I don't know why. I know that happened to a lot of people for the last monthly meeting. So,
Yeah, you actually have to enter in the meeting code instead of it just being embedded in the link.
So Anne,
yes,
Anne?
Nancy.
I heard several people saying that they were using the link that was in collaborative tools. And
Mhm.
I use the link that's in the calendar. If you open the
In
event on the
VMS.
calendar and click on that, I've never had an issue.
Okay, that must be the best place. It must have to do with collaborative tools then.
Well, I
Okay.
use the link in the calendar, but I still was prompted to enter the code.
Today I was too.
Okay, and it was in
All right,
the,
there's some mystery there that I'm gonna need to see if some of my fellow coordinators know how
Yeah,
to solve.
But every other meeting that's on the calendar, I haven't had to put a passcode in. Passcode, whatever it is.
Yeah, because I do the same thing I do every time. So I don't know why. Okay, there's Janice. We'll see if she has success. You know, I'm not sure.
I am back.
We'll see how it goes, Janice.
Okay, host is able to participate by sharing.
Oh, I enabled you. Oh, maybe because you left. Hold on, let me try it again. Okay, there you go. Now try.
I'm still disabled.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
I'm still disabled.
You're still disabled. Oops, that's because, hold on a minute. I made Janet the co-host, sorry. This time, it's not that I got your names confused. They're right next to each other. And I really clicked on Janice. Try it again. All right, yay.
Yay.
All
Okay.
right, you did it. So Janice, we're recording this, as you don't mind, I hope.
No. Remember on the side, on my left side of my, right side of my screen, is that
Can you see everything okay?
Oh, I can see it. I minimized it. Yes. Yes. Did it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll do a quick welcome and we'll start the recording, all right?
Sounds great.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our meeting today, hosted by Janis of the Master Gardener Program, who is going to be telling us about solitary bees. So Janis, take it away and let's go ahead and looks like most people are muted, so I will mute myself.
Can you hear me, everyone? I hope so. Ready? I want a thumbs up. Can I hear you? Can you hear me okay? Thumbs up? Okay, great, thanks. Okay, well, this is my first presentation I'm ever giving, and I'm very excited about it. And this all started about a week ago when I called Anna and said, Anna, do you remember you have all of this back in 2020, the year we want to forget, that we all had paired up with people to do a project. And I was paired up with Marvin Dommer, and come to find out that he went to UC Davis and was an entomologist. And so I was like way out of my league when I was talking to him. I was thinking, oh my gosh, he knows everything about bees. And I was a little intimidated, but he was great, really nice guy, and he shared with me information, and I'm very much appreciative of it. So without a doubt, he said, when we made an outline, he said, well, we got to start from the beginning. So here we go. This presentation is about local native pollinators, and I've chosen 4 particular bees to our area: the mason, the sweat, the carpenter, and leafcutter, all for a particular reason. So let's begin. As I told you, we're going to start from the start. 130 billion years ago, you'll see in the amber below that is a Spensithelia haired wasp. Now, this is where Marvin was supposed to come in. He knew all of their names. So excuse me if I don't pronounce them correctly. But these bees, they share the same DNA with this hairy wasp from long ago. And they believe that the first bees appeared about 130 billion years ago. Since then, all bees have been adapting to their flora. When we think of bees, everyone starts to think of honeybees. And I just briefly want to say that a honeybee versus a solitary or native bee, there's quite a bit of differences that do make worth noting. So on the honeybees, they don't fly on cold or cloudy mornings. The solitary bees, they don't care about the weather. They're hardy and they're going to be out and about. Honeybees refuse to go outside of the hive on overcast days. Now, I can attest to that. Dave and I live out in the country in Waterford, and we're surrounded by almond orchards. And last year, when we were driving when they set the bee boxes out, the honeybee boxes out, we were driving down the road and we would be slamming into so many bees. But it seems that this year, either we've chosen a day when it's overcast to drive, but I'm talking to my husband saying, there's no bees. There's just no bees around. And the thing of it is that I found out researching that when it's overcast, they just don't come out. Again, the solitary bees, they forage from morning to late in the evening. And a few days ago, I was just sitting in the garden and I was enjoying all these bees late in the late evening flying all around. And I had to admit, I knew that they were mason bees from all the research. Another difference between honeybees, honeybees are actually making honey, and they want flowers that are high in sugar. So they're very selective on where they're going and what they're going to. A native bee, they're using pollen just to create a food source and drinking nectar. And they're happily fine with just a low sugar beverage, something that some people around here like to do. The honeybee colonies, well, they're producing all year round with a queen bee. She replaces the old ones, and the colony remains active for all season. The solitary bee dies in their brood overwinters in the cocoon until spring. Now, we're talking to an ethnologist. His name is Professor Brian Danford, and he got a grant, a very hefty grant for 4 years to do his research on native bees versus honeybees. He found that the native bees are 2 to 3 times better pollinators than honeybees are. They're more plentiful than previous thought and not prone to the colony collapse disorder that are disseminating the honeybee population. A quote from Professor Danford: an individual visit by a native bee is actually worth far more than an individual visit by a honeybee, he added. Honeybees are more interested in nectar, and they don't really want the pollen if they can avoid it. The wild native bees are mostly pollen collectors, and they are collecting the pollen to take back to their nests. Does anyone have any questions so far?
It looks like there's a question from Nancy, but I'm not sure I know the answer, or if you do either, Janice. We might need to ask a bee expert. She wanted to know why there's so many bees dead on the ground right now.
Do you know that bees only live 6 to 8 weeks? But and I think that that's pretty remarkable. But I don't know what's causing them, but I found that they don't live too long. And can you tell me where her question came from? I can't see it.
It was Nancy.
But I'm unable to see it. Okay.
Oh, it was in the chat box. It just says, why are we seeing so many bees dead on the ground? And Renee did reply, they only have a lifespan of 21 days. So they don't live real long, but I think Nancy's question is good because, you know, is it because it's a particular time of year and it got really cold? There might be some other factors. It looks like Terry might have her hand up.
Yes.
If they're finding the bees are in an orchard, part of it has to do with the practices of the farmer.
Oh,
If they're spraying, if they're doing different things, it disturbs the hive and they can just all die and just fall out. So
Oh, that's right. Terry, you belong to the bee. Is it a bee society or what is the name of
it's the
the
Delta Bee Club.
Delta Bee Club? Okay, cool.
and to address, Terry, what you're saying, again, living out here, we've only lived out here for years, but even on the days that they spray their orchards, I stay in the house worried about my own health if I have any concerns or not. That's true, because it could be doing just what you said, Terry.
Yeah, and I think Nancy's question might be a little bit more about what's happening in the urban area, maybe not out and about, but yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
One thing about solitary bees is the word solitary. That doesn't mean that they seem to be not in a hive. They have their own little nesting, and it's very individualized. And here you see that the top ones here are full.
And Janice, I'm just going to interrupt you really quick. Did you see the comment from Denise to adjust your camera a little bit so we can see more of your face? Just pull your laptop towards you a little bit.
Okay.
Or maybe you're not on a laptop.
I am not.
A cushion on your, maybe if you were sitting on a cushion or you made your chair higher.
I'll find you a cushion.
This is just a casual chat about bees anyways. We're not going to post this to YouTube.
So Anne, where I live is right on the edge of town and there are orchards near me and there's actually a bee farm about a block from me.
Could, yeah, could be.
So I don't know if what I'm seeing is solitary bees or honeybees.
Well, I guess you better pick some up and collect them for me. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay.
Woo! I think I've got two more. Did that help? Did that help a little bit? Solitary bees, again, they don't live in hives. And how many species are there? There are 20,000 worldwide, 4,000 in the United States. And in California, we're looking at 1,600 native bees. I found this interesting, that 1,600 native bees in California, there actually are recognized 7 different families of bees. I've only narrowed it down to these 3 families. The Machilidae family. This is where you'll find the mason bees and leaf cutters that we're talking about. These other bees are all part of that family. The next one is the Hyliidae family. We're talking about the sweet bee today. This ultra green sweet bee is adorable. I might have a picture of that bee. It's absolutely a beautiful bee. It's very metallic. And then the last family we're talking about is the Apidae family. This is where we're talking about the carpenter bee, bumblebees are in this. And the largest family in this group is actually the honeybees. But again, we're not focusing on honeybees. This is the kingdom of a mason bee. Again, there's 120 species. The kingdom is the Animalia insecta, and the Melichiidae genus is Osmia. So I chose all the 4 bees that we're talking about because they're interesting. There's a little bit of diversity between them. The mason bee, it's for sheer beauty. I picked her. She's absolutely beautiful. All bees are attracted to any places that they can get nectar, but some are more prone to liking some than others, research has shown. The mason bees are attracted to the perennials and fruit trees. I have a swarm of them out here in the area. The carpenter bee, its size is a remarkable. And you'll see that this carpenter bee loves purple flowers. The sweat bee, initially I read it was sweet bee, and I guess that almost all bees are. The sweet bee, for its habits, it's attracted to sunflowers and leaves. The weed cutters is creative and it's attracted to roses and bougainvillea. And I have to say that Stanislaus County is a great place to live, and I'm so happy that Master Gardeners came to it 2 years ago. The characteristics of solitary bees. They're easy and gentle to raise. They're whole nesting bees. Perfect cross-pollinators. And if you have a small garden, you want to really get a bee house in your garden because they're going to stay local. They're only going to fly about 300 feet in their radius. And so that means that they can really take care of a single house. They produce one generation per season, and the larvae spin these waterproof silky cocoons. They hibernate over fall and winter, and will start to emerge from the nest when the temperature reaches about 55 degrees or above. Here, I highlighted the cells or the tubes. These are actually straws. And I'll tell you why. Gender identification. Well, you have to look quick because these guys do travel quite quickly. Some of the differences between male and female. Most male native bees are about half the size of females. Their coloring can be different in the same species. A male could be a bright yellow, and a female could be very dark in color. Usually, the females do have shorter antennas and larger mandibles. The mandibles are used to cut open their cocoons, and if you've ever seen a video on that, it's just amazing to see how they do that. They just have these sharp little pinchers that just cut through that cocoon. The females use their strong mandibles to cut and carry away wet clay or leaves to build their nest. If attacked, the mandible can defend themselves from predators. The morphology of the bee, as we learned from our Master Gardener program, that all bee species have 3 segments: a head, thorax, and abdomen. Their head is where their beautiful eyes are, slender antennas, and their mouth cutting teeth. The thorax, without the thorax, I just don't think these bees are going to fly. They have 4 sets of wings and 6 legs. The abdomen has pollen-carrying hairs. Unique to female bees, they're even more dense and bristly, and they're commonly found on the rear legs or the underside of the abdomen. We'll take some pictures for you how they have the bristles. Complete metamorphosis. Well, interestingly enough, bees, like butterflies, go under complete metamorphosis. They begin their cycle with tiny white eggs and hatch into tiny white larvae. After the larva's feeding, it will develop into a pupa with a cocoon until it comes out as a winged adult. Briefly, we'll look here. So complete metamorphosis starts with the egg, the larva stage, pupa, and adult. The complete metamorphosis has the 4 different separate sections, and incomplete has only 3: an egg, and where the nymphs are similar to the adult, but they're different in size, a little bit different in shape until they mature. So they're growing steadily. So Complete metamorphosis consists of a very active and ravenous larva and an inactive pupa, where the nymphs resemble the adults. Any questions? I might have one for Anne. And if I remember quite right, isn't it at some stages, this is when we want to take care of getting rid of bad bugs. Is that right, Anne?
Oh, that's a really good question. I bet one of the master gardeners could answer that. Bill, I'm going to pick on you. When's the best time to spray? When it's an adult or when it's a nymph?
The best time to spray.
Yeah, if you're going to spray a pesticide. Well, you know, if a client has chosen to spray and they're hopefully choosing a less toxic pesticide, is it easier to kill something that's young or something that's older? You could probably guess that it's actually when it's younger. But yeah, you would think when it's older, right? On the last legs. But it's actually if you can get the egg or the nymphs, especially if they are just hatching. So like right now, stink bugs and scale and mealybugs are just hatching. And so if you can catch that, it's a good time to spray. So great question. Say again, Bill?
Talking about it like a pest, not a bee.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to spray bees.
So
Go
we
ahead.
want to get them in the nymph stage. Correct. Here's a lifestyle of solitary bees. Well, let's begin in March, right where we're at. It's starting to warm up, and again, at 55 degrees for most of the species, this is when they're going to start coming out of their dormancy. They're pollinating. The bee section is from mid-March all the way to mid-September. They're laying their eggs, they're building their hives, building their cells, and they're producing the eggs. The larvae will grow, and the pupa will remain growing and changing into a new bug. And this process does vary depending on the bee species, and you'll find that a bee can actually go throughout her life and make maybe two colonies, two little things on the average. So the male mason bees are the ones who will exit first, and once they have mated with the females, the male, his role is completely over, and about 4 days to 2 weeks, then he'll die off. We said earlier that a female mason bee lives about 6 to 8 weeks. Anywhere from mid-September to mid-March, the adults are going to be dormant in their cocoons. So what is that female doing? She's making mass provision, unlike, again, the honeybees, where the queen is laying her eggs and the worker bees are taking care of the eggs and the larvae. Mason bees or solitary bees don't have that luxury. They are going to die off. So what happens is, setting up her nest, the female solitary bee begins to form a partition wall. She's trying to make it waterproof. And then she's collecting all that nectar and pollen and building a big source of food. And this is what, after the egg hatches, the larva will eat on. Then the eggs are laid and another cell wall is put in. When all cells are completed, the nest will be sealed off with even a thicker packing. Here's a cross section, and I found this really, really exciting. There are some videos out there that I tried to search for it last night and I couldn't find it. But there's this one gentleman who has devoted his life to actually taking care of some native bees, and it's very good. If I find it, I'll just shoot it in there. So remarkable in about 9 days what happens. As you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cells, and she's working on the 5th cell. Oddly enough, she has done 2 eggs to this 1 cell. And I'm going to imagine that one of them will eat the other, but I don't know. That's just me. So you can see that she's walling up, and then she puts in again another food source and deposits that egg. Here's a cross section of the lava, pupa, and the. So I watched a video too of one hatching, and as you can see here, in the cocoon, it's kind of squashed. It definitely doesn't have a lot of room. And when you see them come out, you see them start scratching and it's just very interesting to me. The solitary bees, the females are the worker bees and the queen. At an average, you'll see 10 cells, and it will depend on the species of bees. What happens is that let's say, for example, she has 8. The first 5 cells, she's going to lay those eggs and fertilize them as a female. Then, in the last 3 cells, they'll be male. The males will exit first. They'll get their food supply. They'll start going around and getting from flower to flower and feeding. And then they'll kind of hang out and be waiting for the females to come. And once the females are there, they will mate with them. Where they're nesting, solitary bees have 3 places to nest: ground, wood, and in reeds, or in actually manufactured bee boxes. Cocoons. Cocoons are very important. You see here, this is the nice cocoon that's been spun by the larva. Cocoons should be removed from the nest to reduce the spread of pests and diseases in the bee house. Harvest cocoons and separate healthy ones from the infected cocoons. Flush, dry, and store in the refrigerator. Any questions? The natural enemies. Solitary bees are susceptible to a number of pests, diseases, and predators. Parasitic bees, wasps, and velvet ants. On the right, I have a picture of a velvet ant. As you can see, there's that long skin. They got the nickname cow killer ants. Well, they won't kill a cow, but people that have been stung by a velvet ant have said that the pain is so intense it could kill a cow. I did see pictures of the aftermath of a actual sting, and it was very unpleasant, very painful. In California, we have about 100 different species of velvet ants. Lucky for us, most of them live in desert areas. So be careful when you go out into the desert. It could be a velvet ant. Now, I emphasize a velvet ant. Well, a velvet ant is not really an ant at all. Does anyone know what it is? It's a wasp. The females they're wingless, and only the males have wasps. Back to natural enemies, there's mites, beetles, and birds. As far as diseases, the chalk breed is a fungal infection that converts larva into a mass of fungal spores. The most effective way to control mites and diseases is to provide a new or sanitized nesting environment. Parasite. Monodontomerous wasp, or a monowasp, is a parasitic wasp. I think it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I watched the video, and what it does is it takes little antennae here, and it brings its head down and starts tapping and tapping and tapping, and looking for the cocoon. Once it finds it, it looks like it will do a push-up with its front legs, and its rear will be tucked under, and this big, long drilling device will go right into the ground. Then you'll see her pumping in her little eggs. Now these eggs, she lays them inside the cocoon, and then when they hatch, they will eat the bees larvae. It's beautiful. Really. Stagiola lapis centimus. This is a mite, and what it does, it hangs out on flowers, stems, then it will get onto the back of the bee, and then get into their nest. And in the nest, it will feed on eggs and larvae and pupa. So let's introduce my favorite bees. Osmia mason bee, Osmia mason bee, is from an Megachilidae family. It ranges from 7 to 16 millimeters, from the smallest to the largest. There are 120 species, as we said before. The mason bees are considered gentle, although the female has stingers, but the sting is only equivalent to that a mosquito bite. Because their size is sometimes confused with flies. One mason bee in a single day can pollinate 2,000 blossoms. I thought that was incredible. One of my favorite pictures of an Osmia mason bee. Here you can see the bristles here on the abdomen. You can see that they're going to actually pick up a lot. There's more finer hair like along the head and in the thorax. But you can see it seems as though everything she does, she must just get into a flower and get all that. The nesting places are existing holes or artificial ones. She uses mud to seal off and build waste. A sweat bee from the Halolichidae family. These bees vary in appearance. They can become dull to metallic black. In our area, this is one that we would see normally in our area. It's light brown and black, with light bands of hair along its abdomen. Wings are iridescent. I have Oscar chickens in my backyard, and they do have the same appearance. When the light hits them just right, you'll see that they're the iridescent purples and greens on their feathers. I was saddened by when they got a little older that they were getting dull and you couldn't see it. The feathers were aging. And interesting enough, after my hen smoked it, they came back to that beautiful luster. So I was kind of wondering if that's what happens to a bee if when they first start out to have this bright color. But as they age and start to die off, they might lose a little bit of that iridescence. As you can see, their legs are heavy with their little hair-like projection. So their legs and on their abdomen on the bottom side is more prominent. The males being similar in size, but the females are more similar. The behavior that nickname in the sweet is that they're attracted to salt and minerals. Their nesting places are pre-existing holes, and they usually nest and reside in earth burrows in a sandy area. Their size is 3.5 to 11 millimeters. And if you look at that down, you know they're Leaf cutter bees. They're also from the Megachilidae family, from 5 millimeters to 24. There's approximately 63 different species of leaf cutter bees, plus 5 subspecies. They're typically non-aggressive, but the females do have stingers. And when you're stung by a western leaf cutter bee, the stinger will remain and it will pump venom until it is removed. One of the characteristics of this bee that you will notice is that the abdomen comes to a point. Leaf cutter bees got their names because they do at least to make their cocoons. They nest in deadwood, plant stems, cavities of walls, and occasionally in the soil. The valley carpenter bee. Valley carpenter bee is the second largest bee, but the biggest bee in California. Found in the mountains and foothills of northern and southern California, the female has dark smoky brown bodies and brown wings. Their eggs are the largest of all insects. Anybody count? The largest. She's not the biggest bee, but she has the largest. But even then, you know we hear them. They're big and noisy. In this photograph, we see that the female carpenter bee with the honeybee. You can see the size difference in the honeybee. If a valley carpenter bee finds a flower that they can't reach the nectar of pollen, they're going to do something creative. They're going to go to the underside of the flower and slit just below the petals to reach the nectar. This is a male, and I was fortunate enough the past 2 years to actually see them in my yard. The male's called the teddybear bee. It's called a green-eyed blonde, and you can see it. It's huge and so lovely to watch. The male doesn't have a stinger. The breed is very docile. Carpenter bees get their names from making nests in. Again, you can see the size difference. They're just enormous. Let's talk about the largest and the smallest bees. The largest bee, Lycopa microcanus, is the largest at 25 millimeters. They're found along the coast of southern eastern Virginia, Florida, and west along the Gulf of Texas. Yes, Texas, I was going to say we have the biggest. Things are always bigger in Texas. The Petridea minima, the scientists do not know their species, or sorry, their sizes because they are too small to count. They are found in the deserts of Nevada. Our large carpenter bee is nesting place in frozen stems, and our smallest in sandy soil. All right, this is the good stuff. We all get the Stanislaus trap, and this is the author here is Anne, and in the beginning of one class, a speaker asked the audience, how many bees do you see in this photo? Well, let's unmute everyone and let's do the quiz. Kenny?
Anybody who wants to take a guess?
Yes,
Or let's give them a few minutes of us not saying anything, because sometimes you got to concentrate.
Yeah, of course. Anyone know what number 1 is?
Go ahead and unmute yourself.
The housefly.
Good job.
Good job, yeah. Who's anyone number 2? It is a bee.
Mason bee?
I can tell, no, it's bigger than a mason bee.
Carpenter.
No. I'll give you a hint that it buzzes around and it's quite large. And we haven't talked about it, but it's a bumblebee.
Oh.
You guys knew that.
Okay, number 3. We know that isn't a bee. Any takers of what it could be?
Is it a lacewing?
Butterfly, the Lisa. Number 4. And we talked about this one.
These are a little advanced here.
The brown sweet bee.
Even I don't remember what number 4 is.
All of us know this. Does anyone have terrible stories about these guys? Oh my gosh.
Stephanie already posted 5 is a grasshopper.
Yes. I am so scared of those things. Number 6.
Did you see that the locusts are flying all over in Africa right now? I mean, whew,
Wow.
tons of them.
Number 6 is a minor bee. Number 7. Oh, I do have a picture. This is the orchard bee. They're very much colored. Very cool. 8 is a honeybee. And we talked a little bit about this one today.
Stephanie wrote in the chat, is 9 a velvet ant?
It is. Yay. Oh, and the next one is a sweat metallic bee. They are so amazing. And do you have some samples of these bees at home?
I didn't quite catch your question.
Do you have these in a sample? Do you have samples?
Oh, like a collection? No, but I would love to.
No.
But then of course I always feel bad, but you know, you really got to get out there this time of year and you got to have the right flowers, a lot of native flowers and a net probably. So, and so the answer is how many are bees? Do you have that number?
I think it was 7.
It's 6.
2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6 of them. Okay, 6 of them. Yeah. Good job, everyone.
How many people got the right number? Raise your hand. Denise got 6. It's hard to see everybody else. Oh, Sue's hand is up. Anybody else raise their hand? It's a tough one.
It was. One thing that I found in my research, one thing I found very interesting is the ultraviolet reflection. We're unable to see ultraviolet rays, but believe it or not, flowers give off an ultraviolet hue, and bees can see it. And there's a little video where I found this photograph from. There's a video by Dr. Joe Hansen, and it was actually treated as used to show kids. And I found we're just kids at heart, at least I know I am. But it was very fascinating, and it's worth watching. It's worth watching. It's really, really good. So we have a professor who is in urban epidemiology at UC Berkeley, and here's a question for him. You claim native bees will be able to do a lot of the work honeybees are no longer doing. Is that a reasonable expectation? Gordon, Frank. Yeah, Frankie. I had the privilege of watching some of his videos, and they're very, very informative. And Anne, I think you said that you were able to meet him in person. Is that right? Maybe Anne's right. Professor Gordon's, Frankie's quote is, yes, we have one of the richest bee flower faunas in the world. We have 5,000 species of flowering plants in California, 6,000 subspecies, varieties and hybrids, and a vast majority of our pollinated by native bees. because they evolve with them. If we have enough time and enough good people cooperating, we'll have a good pollination by native bees in the future. Well, the reason that they're impacted is probably just obvious in that example, and bees are one. Their habitats are being destroyed. Fragmentation of their habitats as well. The use of pesticides, climate change, and introducing other species into the area, along with disease and mites. Mites are very harmful. How can we help bees? Well, we can provide them with food and water. Yes, water. Water is really important to them, especially in our area in the summer when it gets so hot. You can just take a small shallow dish, fill it up with some various sized rocks, and then add water. We don't want them to drown in it. They do need water. Choose flowers with different blooming time will always help. And plenty flowers with black open centers. They seem to like that. Plant clusters of blue, purple, orange, and yellow flowers. That's a draw for most bees. And I found out that certain species, they can't see red. When it comes to bees, we don't really think of our lawns, but actually lawns can be beneficial to bees. Overseed lawns with bee friendly fescue, clover, and creeping squirrel. And do they need dirt? Yes, they do. Native bees need dirt for their building their nest in the ground. It's also good to have bare patches of ground where they can dig into the dirt. Mason bees use the mud to do their cells, and the best type of soil is clay. Keeping soil wet during hot, dry days will help them keep it wet. Here comes the fun part where we can really help out the bees. By raising mason bees, our vegetation will be improved, we grow more fruits and vegetables. They're wonderful pollinators we talked about. To get started, you want to make them a nesting place. Location is very important. You want the entrance to be facing the northeast. And create a habitat where there is, again, lots of flowers around you. This is, of course, a very simple, inexpensive way you can do this. The only concern I have about this is that it's not only can do that without hot, especially if it's in the sun. I don't think that that's good. And if sprinklers are around or a rainy day, there really isn't any coverage for it. This one is a little better. It's basically a block where holes have been drilled into. 5/8 of an inch drill bit would be what's recommended mostly. This one also provides a little bit of shelter because it has you can also go online and order bee boxes. This is very pretty. Things are so good one thing for friends. If you want to be super crazy, you can go ahead and make a bee project. Again, if you have a little bit of do-it-yourself in you can make your own nesting boxes. They're pretty easy. You can buy some pre-drilled wood box from townbees.com. In this picture, I want to share with you why it has barbed wire around it. Because there's predators from about typically crows, starlings, robins, and woodpeckers do monitor where these bees are coming back into their nesting boxes, and they'll hang out. By having the wire there, the bee has just an extra moment or so to go ahead and look out before it takes off. Also, you're pretty smart. You see the little X's in different colors. If you just have, excuse me, if you just have it with without the markings. It's not easy for a bee to swoop right into her spot. Question?
Great job. Let's give Janis a hand, which nobody can probably hear. And before we take any questions, I just want to thank Terry Dommer for being here. And we just really want to honor, Marvin's memory, and this is dedicated to him. And I know he would have loved this presentation and done such a great job, and we all really miss him.
I want to thank everybody for all the cards that we sent too.
And Terry, I have Marvin's badge, and so I'm going to make a way to get it to you because I think it'd be a nice keepsake for you.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, Marvin was really good inspiration to me, and I started with my partner, Doug. That's a very nice guy, and I'm sure we all miss him. The world misses him.
If any of you ever get a chance to go to the Haagen-Dazs Bee Garden up at UC Davis, they have a huge garden dedicated to the pollinator bees, the native bees, and they have the plants and carpenter bees, and you can look all around and see an ideal habitat for them. And they have open house a couple of times a year. Just kind of look on the website for the UC Davis Bee Garden.
Nice.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah, once everything's open again, we'll have to do a field trip. Maybe we can even get a tour. I know you can. When I worked on campus, you could walk over there pretty much anytime, dawn to dusk. But it might be nice to have a tour. So, thanks for bringing that up.
Okay. All right, I'm signing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Terry. I'll be in touch.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. It's be so hard for her.
I saw her this morning.
You saw her this morning. Thank you so much for inviting her, Janis. I think that was really wonderful, and for dedicating this. All right, go ahead, Denise. I know you had a question.
Yeah, okay, in the beginning, we were told that these native bees are really good pollinators. But I'm just wondering if that includes the leaf-cutter bees, because they're just cutting out leaves. So are they also good pollinators?
I think she's asking if leafcutter bees are good pollinators.
Yeah, I believe that when you talk about native bees from our research that the mason bee far outseeds all of them because they're a strong bee and they are out in the field that I see them all the time. But I have seen in my own property leafcutter bees as well. So in general, I think the statement is that native bees are excellent pollinators.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So I really enjoyed learning about these. I encourage everyone to get online, look at some of the videos that are out there. They're just an amazing little item. It's so tiny, it does so much and helps us, with our I didn't think of the word I want to use. Keeping us going. And without them, what are we going to do? We have to make sure that we protect them. I encourage everyone to get out there. Last night I showed the presentation to my husband, and he was so excited. He goes, "Oh, let's build a." Well, I didn't mention it before, but Marvin was so sweet. What we were going to do ahead of time, we were going to do this at the school. We were going to actually donate some bee boxes, have a raffle and donate it that way, and donate some to Anne to use around wherever she could. But my husband was so excited that he really wanted to get one home. But Marvin had given me a plastic one. That we have one. but I was unsuccessful. Can I tell you why I think I was unsuccessful? I did put it at the northeast area, but I have a tree covering it, a maple, that so I thought, okay, it'll be in the shade when it's really, really hot and everything. But what happened is when the sun set, it just went straight onto that area. And I was wondering if it's too hot. I'm moving it up to the front. Hopefully that's better opportunity to come some bees.
Yeah, we probably will need to do a lot of research before we take on this kind of class. And there's some experts maybe at UC that we can reach out to say, you know, can you take a look at our presentation or what do you think? Now, before I started this job, I'm trying to remember, it was like 2019 maybe, although I was in this job. I can't remember when it was, but I went to a class that the Yellow Master Gardeners were giving, and they were coming up with their own pollinator classes that were going to be like approved by the statewide program, and was going to have all this cool stuff that went with it. So I'm going to have to email them and ask them where they are with it, because it was a really nice set of like a couple of classes that had all that kind of information, and then you can answer these questions because some of them are hard. But I think Janis did an amazing job. Thank you so much, Janis. You know, there's so much to know about all these different bees, and just by focusing on 4, that just helps people, because it's like now it's like most of us know, oh, there's that carpenter bee. It's, you know, is it the male or the female? But now thanks to you, they can look at these different bees and go, I wonder if that's this or that. But to know that there's so many just of, you know, the orchard bee or of some of these different species means that we ourselves may or may not be able to correctly identify them exactly. But if we can get them down to the family, that's always helpful. So.
You want to hear a funny story? 2 days ago, I was sitting in my garden, and I was actually right by my African daisies, and I have a plethora of them. They're all over the place, and they were all around me, and there were bees coming and doing everything, and I was able to watch them. And 2 bees came to sit in my lap.
Oh my gosh!
I was like freaking out, and I was trying to stay calm, and I did. But I mean, literally, they sat in my lap, and at different times, that I was like, the same one, but I don't know. It was shocking. Absolutely.
They were sending you good bee vibes for this presentation. Don't be nervous.
Thank you. I really was. This is my first presentation, and I seem to find myself getting a little. You're not recording this now, right?
Oh, I'll cut it off earlier. I can cut this part off, especially my tacky joke. It was pretty bad. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And I think you probably saw my note about when you record this in VMS. Sometimes you can't, I don't know if you've ever tried to record your hours the same day as the event, and VMS sometimes doesn't take it. So you can always, you know, the bummer is now's a good time to do it because you remember. So you could try, but yeah, you would put it under workshops training as the project, and you know, you don't have to pick a specific date, but then you would choose this present, you know, just type in Janis B presentation or something like that. So if there aren't any other questions, that is all for now. We'll give you another round of applause. And in the future, I would love for you to give this in person. And then maybe we could even have some props and things for you to show. And we can work on that, because I know I had gotten you some straws, but then boy, we just were stopped dead in our tracks. So yeah, I think it'd be cool, like if some people might have books on bees. I mean, we can put together a little display eventually. You know, the Pollinator Festival is usually April every year, so we won't be able to be there this year, but next year, you know, we might have like an amazing table display, and yeah, we could go from there. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you. Okay.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Great job again, Janice.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your support. So it's just you and I right now, right?
Yes,
Or
just
you
us.
want to stop recording?
Yes, what happened?